Hi, this is Sebastien Braxton, and welcome back to Verse by Verse. This is episode number 12, and we are looking at Genesis chapter 1 in verse 26. The very idea that God decided to create another living thing, but that this was one living thing that was made after something that was in heaven. That God decided to make man after something that was holy, that was infinite, and that was himself. But not only himself, themselves. So the idea that God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, calls us back to those laws of living things that we looked at in episode number 7. We said that the first law of living things that you cannot separate what something is from what it will produce. This is a huge law because when we realize through surveying the Bible of what God is, God possesses all knowledge, but he is not knowledge. God possesses all power, but he is not power. The Bible says that God is love. His law, his nature is love. That means love is what you will get if you take no measures to stop it. And there are no measures in the universe that can stop God from loving us. Therefore, when God created man, humanity, being made in the image of God, naturally loved as birds fly, as flowers blossom, and as fish swim in the sea. This was as natural as love was to the heart of man. We can even see right now in our world how far we have come from God's ideal, which is godliness. God-likeness is that goal to be reached. To have a love that is spontaneous, that comes from the inside, and that happens of its own self. But you see, this also lets us know that second law of living things is that while you cannot separate what something is from what it will produce, you also have to recognize that when it produces, it doesn't produce something completely mature, but that there's a process of development. Now, this is such an important point, and I don't want you to miss this. You see, if God is infinite, and we recognize that for a baby whale, there's a certain level of time, maybe 9 months, before that baby whale is able to become a mama whale and produce after its kind. But for humanity, here's the recognition. God is infinite. And if God made us after his image and after his likeness, knowing that he's infinite, what that communicates to you and I is that there's an infinite path of development for humanity. There is no limit, there is no ceiling to humanity and what we can potentially become. This is why you'll see at the end of many of my videos that will say what a man can be, he must be. This is exactly the idea of the infinite potential contained in humanity. This is why it would grieve the heart of God to hear a person say that I can't learn physics. It would grieve the heart of God to see us placing a low estimate upon ourselves. It would grieve the heart of God to think that a person would say, I'm not worth anything, I can't do anything, and I have no place or use in this world. When God is looking at one of his children, at you or me or anyone else, and saying, you don't even realize that there's infinite potential contained within that small frame of a being of which you possess on this speck of dust in the universe. That God was willing to pay infinite price in order to purchase back and reclaim through the process of redemption.